about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us on this edition of The Struggle is Real. The struggle continues. It's an honor to have three icons, three local Covington-based icons of justice and people, leaders of the people, not just of themselves, but the people's leadership or the people's agenda, where the people's heart and mind as they provide community service. So we just want to thank you so much for availing yourself and for all that you've done in the past. And we apologize again for yesterday. As I explained to you, I had a kind of a pastoral issue that happened. I had to help, and I still got it. It's still outstanding. I still got to go and see whatever support I can give. But I wanted to respect your time because you have meetings and you have things you have to do. So we want to proceed. If you would just kind of introduce yourselves to our audience, and if you would also kind of talk about what you experienced. Well, let's talk about it like this. How do you describe the moment we're in light of what you dealt with years ago? First, introduce yourself, and then try to grapple with that question. It's almost like the more things change, the more things stay the same, kind of thing. I don't want to preempt your statement, but could you please kind of say who you are and what you did, and then talk about, in light of what you did, what's still kind of baffling and challenging to you in this current moment?
My senior brothers go first.
Roger Smith. Thank you, Doc. I just wanted to say, looking back over the years and back during the time that I had finished high school, approaching going into the military and serving time there. But Covington, Georgia back then was like a lot of other cities in the South. There were a lot of things going on, and we just needed to have some representation at the table. And Reverend Harold Cobb got us started with Voters League. He had ran for the city council position about 2 or 3 times unsuccessful because of the way it was set up. You know, it was usually voted on about 3 people that were elected each time, and it went to the top vote getters during that time. So we had to try to get some more help as far as getting our people registered to vote. And that would increase our chances of getting someone elected. But compared to now, it seemed like we're going almost back in circles in a sense, because things that we thought we had in place and thought they should be working well, it seemed like they'd come unravel in some senses. You know, we're having to worry about as far as why people couldn't register in certain places. But now people that are registered, they're coming up with ideas of still trying to eliminate some people from being able to register to vote. So it seemed like a never-ending circle. We've made some progress, but there's still a lot of issues that we have to deal with, and it seemed like it keeps coming back. And other people there's a conflict with some people that we elect to try to continue to take us backwards in the way they're handling and doing things. So, but I can say more. I just want to give somebody else a chance to speak right now.
Well, to me, things far as people going to vote is almost the same. You got to beg somebody to go to vote when they don't realize that it's a opportunity for them. And a lot of young crowd now, the same as it was back then, don't understand the reason for vote. Don't understand what people went through for the opportunity to vote. But I guess we got to continue working with it. maybe it is going back. Look like from what we got started, we have to work at it again and never give up. But oh, and I forgot to introduce myself. I think everybody know who I am, Eddie Baker. I'm sorry. And I was president of the Voter League for a couple of years and everything. But anyhow, I think things are close to the same. It may be a little bit different in the peoples in the form of doing it, but we got a lot more educated blacks that are working with it, and they're doing a lot better. But it's still almost the same to me.
He was the first elected to the city council in Covington, Brother Baker.
Yes.
So we did get able to get some things done.
Well, yeah, and we had to went up and got the district changed where we could have different parts. Zone 2 and 3.
Yeah, east and west.
East and west, and that's about the only way we could get it. We had to get people that more like us to vote, because and that's the only way we could get it in. Because the other people would not vote for us. It was few vote for us, but majority of we had to get peoples of our race to I hate to say it that way, but it's true, to so they could vote and their votes could make a decision on who be the person that represent them.
So there was, like, the districts were kind of like rigged back then, just like they're trying to rig them now, to make sure that, the representation would be solidly in their favor, so they can maintain control over the resources and the decision-making outcomes. But when you organized and when you came together, that's when you saw a big difference. Yes?
Yes, and we saw a lot of difference. Citywide, and we didn't have a percentage of blacks to outvote the percentage of whites. And that was one of the reasons we wanted the zoning east and west 1 and 2 and 3, and the one at large. The one at large has always been white, and the one on the east was white. And we did eventually at one point in time had 3 blacks represented on the west. And we just need the representation, and we didn't have it.
But one other point before Doc, I know Doc is waiting to come in to say something, but when we got the Voters League going, the biggest thing we had to do was get people registered to vote.
Yes.
We had to walk all over Newton County. And we had an opportunity, but it was made where we could get actual the voting sheets to register people. And we walked all over Newton County to every community and and register people in their homes. And we had a couple of people that were appointed deputy registers. And we also got people that lived in those areas to go with us to people's houses and to talk to them, because they were comfortable with the people that was around them. But our people have always been hesitant about registering and then going to vote. That was one part of the job, was to register them, but then we'd have to go back and get them and take them to the polls. And that's where the church that you're pastoring, not in that same building, played a big role in there, because we had the ladies of your church manning the phones, and they would be calling people, and we would be going to pick them up and take them to vote, and taking them back home, and sometimes watching the kids while they were gone to vote. So, but St. Paul has always played a role in this community, as well as some of our other churches.
My name is Grier, Godfrey, and I came in Covington probably in the early 80s, and the machine of the Voters League was already in place. And I just helped add another leg to it. But Brother Baker and Brother Rogers, they had history there, and they've done, it's amazing, the work they've done. So when I got there, the mission and the purpose of the Voters League was always in place. It sort of broadened a little bit over the years, but get them registered and get them to the poll by any means necessary. And that was it. And then hold political forums, so the candidates could meet the people in the community, and the community could meet the people that's running. And it was a task. It really was, but it was fun. We didn't have many dogs, but some got cussed out a couple of times.
And I think that was something Doc brought to the table when we started with the political forums. And that was a tremendous help because we interviewed and talked to other candidates that was running. It was open for everybody. And I think we may have been the first group that was actually having forums. And we had them for a long time.
The only group. I think it's the only group in Newton County. Yeah.
And it gave you an opportunity to actually meet those candidates that were out there. And we had a few banquets. We had to have some money. So we had some fundraisers, and one of them was our banquet, and we had cake and bake sales and whatever we could do to be able to get the work done that we needed to do. And we was always, one of your members now, Ruth Banks, some Mother Pearl Banks, would always invite us over for a meal to kind of energize us in that work we were doing. But it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. And I think one of the most gratifying things to me, Pastor, was that sometimes, it was a few times I actually registered people that was in their 80s voting for the first time. That just blew me away because I would be tired of all that walking, and then sometimes you couldn't get them to do it. But then when I had an opportunity to register a lady in her 80s, that made all those trips worthwhile. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, I can see that.
And talking about meetings, Pastor, we all had full-time jobs. And then we came in the evening and had meetings. And then on Saturday and Sundays, we went out into the communities, and it was amazing. But let me just mention a few names. Roger mentioned Miss Pearl Banks and Ruth. There was Miss Pocahontas Reed, Miss Gladys Benton, Miss Mary Baker, which is Eddie's mom, Miss Essa Aiken. These are name a few. Ruth Nolly and Fleming Pitts, Harold Carr, Forrest Sawyer, Janet Goodman, and Garland Hillman, and the Boston. These are names that went out through the community. I'm serious.
How can I get a hold of that list?
Oh, I can get it to you. Either Ruth could get it to you, or Brother Eddie could give it to you. But you'll get that list. It's amazing, though. These individuals just star. I mean, they would just do what they had to do. They would just sacrifice to make sure people got registered and got voted.
And Reverend Harold Carr was the first elected Black county commissioner.
Right.
And Mr. Garland Hillman was the first elected to the Board of Education. And I already said that Brother Eddie Baker was the first for the city council. But it took some work. And it was very worthwhile. But the thing that I've heard recently is that there are a lot of our people of color, that have registered and are voting this year more than they've voted in the past. So that has lifted me some to know that even though it seems like we go round in circles, but you can't give up the fight. You can't give up because so much has been done and sacrificed to get us where we are.
That's right. And
I think we've done more than enough to be considered as first-class citizens of this country. Because we've died in wars, we've fought in wars, and we've done things that everyone else has done to be a meaningful part of this country.
That's right. In fact, that's one of the things we were watching the documentary during Bible study called White Savior. And one of the parts, one of the scenes in White Savior involves the genesis or the beginning of the conflict after World War I and World War II, where African-American men especially felt like they should be able to have the rights of anyone else, having fought for this country and having died, trying to preserve what they thought they were supposed to do, their duty. And so it became a conflict because they were kind of like the expectation had been elevated in terms of what they deserved and how they should be treated. I bled, and they saw their European counterparts die just like them, and they saw cowards of every hue, of every ethnicity, and they saw bravery of every ethnicity. And so they saw how much they were no different than others, except for some were melanated mildly, and some were marvelously melanated, like you brothers. And they just felt like there shouldn't be any difference. And that was the spark that continued the violence and the repression and the reactions of, tremendous backlash. And so you had that. Now, the league, did it morph into the NAACP, or is it still in existence in some form, or what happened to the league, voting league?
Well, there's a point I want to mention before Roger and Eddie come in, is how effective that Roger and Eddie had placed the Voters League and the Voters League member. We had ties working with the NAACP, working with the Ministers Union, working with the Newton County Black Business Association, and all the Masonic lodges, and all the Black churches in the county. We had inroads to all of those organizations, and they were very effective also. And Roger's a Masonic member, Ed is a Masonic member, I'm a Masonic. And one thing that we made sure—
and we're all veterans too, Doc.
All veterans too, that came in, that if a brother wanted to join, he had to be a voter. You have to vote. And the Voters League was so effective in doing what they had to do. Roger and I was talking the other day, it was the Friday before Easter that we had no buy.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We scared me to death on that one. And then people stopped buying in Newton County because we, the Voters League, say until something changed, don't spend your dollars in Newton County.
Okay.
Well, now you got dangerous. You just start talking about folk money now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rockdale gained on us.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Because you took
So we
your
still
money
bought in
from
Rockdale though. We didn't buy in Newton County.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But Pastor, since you mentioned the Voters League, we are presently right now in the process of reviving the Voters League in a different direction. We are going to be focusing more on voter education, and we're going after everybody to not only register to vote, but understand what your rights are in your local governments when you do vote. That's how we get things done, and we are entitled, not only just the African Americans, but we're also looking at the Hispanic community, the white community, and hopefully maybe that will solve some of the differences that we have now that are existing. But it's going to be geared toward mostly education and getting information and pamphlets out to people so they know why it's important to vote. But just to touch back again on being military and then getting out of the service, and there were a lot of people that weren't comfortable with seeing us in our uniforms at home. Sure. I always felt like it was a thing of pride to walk around when I got home with my uniform on, and we got stares and people said things to us. And like you say, we had been, I was in Vietnam. Yeah. I served in Vietnam. And I saw all of the brotherhood that was going on with the military was over there for a lot of them. But then when you come back home, it was a different story.
I didn't know you. It was a different story. I mean, you saved somebody's life, and yet when you get back, that person was from Mississippi or Alabama. They couldn't tell their parent that, they were screaming.
When I was in Vietnam, all over. My best of friends couldn't get rid of them. They tag on you so much. But when you got back to America, it's the same old story. And I never forget one time I went to town. to get homestead exemption. And the man called my dad a boy, and I jumped on it. I said a few choice words and told him, I don't serve, but he always paid his taxes since he been a grown man. And I just come from Vietnam, and I don't see no boys around.
Ooh, yeah, I know you. Came right on out with it.
I appreciate him calling us a boy, especially my dad.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm not gonna try to spill no water on your fire of passion, but the one thing that's gonna keep y'all divided from your other friends from other ethnicities is that some of them have bought into the idea that they are special because they are supreme over us. They are a special grade of people's walking in the world, and we are second grade, low class, and it's gonna keep y'all. It's gonna keep the community.
Stay that way, but
that privilege thing.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately,
I call it white folk syndrome. That's what it is. They got.
That's right. Unfortunately, some of our Latino sisters and brothers, and some of our African American brothers and sisters, think they, because of whatever reason, relationship or whatever, some of their best friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And, So they keep it divided. So I'm not telling you something you don't know, because I know they've always played that game of divide and conquer.
Oh yeah, but it's just that it's good to see some of our young people that are going to carry on that banner and step up and carry the banner, because that was a time before us. And like you, Pastor, I like to look back at when I look at Henry Louis Gates, and the information that they provide about our forefathers and how some of them, Fannie Lou Hamer and others that came along and they did their part, and then it became our turn to carry the banner, and we're going to have somebody else to keep carrying the banner, because I know that they're not ready to level the playing field. We have to continue the struggle, and there are a lot of things that are done a little bit differently. But when you've been through the fire, you can recognize it, and it's still there. Some of our young people don't know, but we can pick up on it real quick. And so we're going to always have to have people that carry that banner for us, and you just can never give up.
I mentioned to the pastor at one time before, maybe they should get started something where you tell our young crowd the history, let them see it, because you can get the films that show exactly what was going on, and so they can understand what's going on and what would happen, because history does repeat itself.
Now, that's why this podcast is so important, gentlemen, because we have to record this and preserve your stories of the struggle from the 60s and the 70s, your struggle from the times that you came back from Vietnam, or the time your fathers or your parents came back, and you got to be able to represent and preserve it, because this story is quickly being overridden. I'll give you a case in point. If you go on Paramount right now, there's a documentary on Rosa Parks. Of course, they want to make sure you get premium Peacock, which is a monthly fee. I refuse to pay it. I'm not doing that. I had to figure out another way to see Rosa Parks' special. But the name of this documentary is The Radical Life, Rebellious Life of Rosa Parks. And what they do is dismantle the myth and the idea that she was this meek and mild-mannered sister who was just tired and just wouldn't get up because she was tired and her feet were hurting. They uncovered the fact that Rosa Parks was a militant. Her grandfather, who was a formerly enslaved, protected the family with a gun. When them Klan came around, brother, click, click, click.
Yeah. Second Amendment.
She liked Dr. King, but she loved Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. You go on, you can Google it right now, the rebellious life of Rosa Parks.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is that our story has to be told by us.
That's right.
Otherwise, other folk will tell it and they will gloss over and emphasize stuff that had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And the truth is always obscure. Having spoken that, brother Ed, did you have any questions? Or I feel like I'm interviewing you too, because you were part of the movement as well. It's almost gang.
I don't have any questions.
Where did my co-host go? Y'all got my co-host being one of y'all.
It's good to see Dr. Godfrey. Good to see Dr. Godfrey. Been a while since I've seen him. It's good to see you again. But no, I don't have any questions. I think we pretty much covered what happened. I'm pretty sure some more stories can be told, but and some more things can be done.
Well, I'm grateful for the fact that you took the opportunity to present this and to record it and to keep it and to share it with our people. And that's one thing that they can see and hear from people that they know, Pastor. And also on TBS, quite often, just about every week, they have something about keep your eye on the prize. And if we can get our children to sit down long enough and they can see firsthand some of the stuff that we've come through.
I don't know. I don't know how much those recordings cost. You actually can buy those recordings.
Oh yeah.
We gotta record the story of what happened here, because my understanding is some of the things that happened here in Covington helped to set national precedent and statewide precedent on voting rights.
Oh yes.
It was on that point there back in the 80s, the Justice Department stayed very close contact with members of the Voters League. And we sort of had a direct line to the Justice Department in DC, and that they would call and ask, see how things are going, anything that they can do. So that was very important to sort of keep things moving.
Yeah, and it was also having the opportunity to go to the state capitol and be in the room where they were drawing up lines for Newton County for voting districts, and actually be standing there present. And to know that Fleming Pitts was one of the people who had ideas about how to help draw the line.
Yes.
So some of that, and others, like Reverend Harry Carter, we can never thank them, especially those two there. But it was a lot of other people, Janet Goodman, and like our doctor was naming, there are quite a few that carried that banner. But to be actually, at the table to help draw the lines, but the struggles continues, just like what Fannie Lou Hamer said. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yes,
and you can kind of feel that when you have to go through the same things again and again and again. So I just appreciate you doing this podcast.
Absolutely. And then another thing, the Voters League was instrumental in helping to form the Newton County Black Business Association.
Yes.
For all the Black businesses in Newton County, we developed a publication. All the Black business owners got a page in that, and we could pass it out to the churches so that we would patronize our own business and our own people. And we did it with very, very effective.
And that organization was very effective, giving people that want to own their own business ideas or ways of going about it, and how to get funds to start the business.
Absolutely.
Who organized that?
It was Harold Cobb and Dr. Baker, Melvin, was instrumental in getting that done.
What happened?
And Fleming probably has a public, because we have printed some books of the Newton County Black Business Association.
The directory.
Yeah, the directory.
If it's possible, you probably could, if you can ever get a chance to sit and talk with Fleming. He's not a person that want to be on film that much, but he has a lot of history about Newton County. That if you could just sit down, maybe one-on-one, or get him to come back, he has a lot of information that he can share about so many different things that have gone on in Newton County.
He can give you hours of interview.
Yeah.
This is Social Justice Month. I want to acknowledge you all's contribution to the history and destiny of Covington, Georgia. I also want to celebrate the beginning of chronicling all of this into a documentary and a book. I think that there needs to be, there ought to be some kind of record that we have of what happened and what was done, and also the historical locations where significant events took place. I think there ought to be a tour. I think I may have mentioned this to you all before, Black History Tour, that identifies and celebrates the various places where movement and various people who made very important strides and impact and contributions should be highlighted so that our story is preserved. And we don't just there's so much development going on, deforestation, gerrymandering, redevelopment in some of the neighborhoods. Some of those locations need to be preserved as historical sites that are not bulldozed over or remodeled, because there are historical furnishings, pictures, structures that need to be preserved. It just seems like there needs to be some intentionality about that. So, brothers, I'm glad that you're here. I'm going to see if Sister Ruth can invite you all on fifth Sunday where we give out certificates of acknowledgement of your service and your sacrifice on behalf of the rights of our community. The right to vote itself is something that we have taken for granted. But in your day and time, I mean, you are the ones that help quarterback that. Now I know that Brother Smith, you got to go. Is that
yes.
right?
Yes, I asked for that.
So we're gonna end it right there for right now, and we'll pick this up again at another time. I want to thank you both for agreeing to be back on today, and our apologies again for the adjustment.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thanks to both of y'all for joining us today and giving us some Covington history.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed it. Doc, you take care.
Just let me know.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Struggle is real.
And the struggle continues.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Y'all have a great rest of the day.
Good night.
Good night.
God bless.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.